Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm always your host, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about the Karmelo Anthony guilty verdict and the possibility of him being charged with both murder and manslaughter in this case, where he legitimately murdered Austin Metcalf in cold blood and what can only be described as a premeditated murder. The fact that he was not charged with premeditated murder is absolutely ridiculous, but I think it's mostly because of the fact that it was easier to just charge him with first-degree murder than premeditated murder, because premeditation would have to be, proving intent and stuff like that, which I think there is a possibility they could have done it. It's just it would have taken a lot more to convict, I think is what it is there. But the entire point of the matter is, what this whole case has shown over the past year or so since it happened, is that you have a lot of black supremacists in America that probably should have been stripped U.S. citizenship decades ago and kicked the fuck out of our nation. So, on that note, I do want to mention something before we get started here, which is today would have been my mom's 78th birthday. Unfortunately, she was not here to celebrate it because of everything that happened a couple years ago, where she was basically killed by the COVID kill shots is what it is, because of pieces of shit like Mike DeWine, Ramaswamy, and Amy Acton. So, and the fact that every single one of those fuckers has not been charged with crime against humanity at this point is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that two of those idiots are running for governor and one of them is actual current governor of Ohio is absolutely ridiculous as well. And yeah, it's just a giant shit show is what it is. So, today's episode, by the way, is brought to you by RC Cola. Me and my RC. It's good cola. Something I used to like to drink when I was a kid. I think it tasted better back then in the 90s, but then again, well, it probably also wasn't a bunch of random bullshit in it like it is now. Let's see what is all in here anyway. Yeah, I'm guessing the colorations and stuff like that were different, or even just cane sugar back then, which I think that's the problem with a lot of sodas these days, is they could easily be cane sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup is what it is. But anyway. So, we're going to get into a bunch of different things here, what it is about Karmelo's trial here. Obviously, as of this morning, he was found guilty. It was at some point in the past week or so during the defense, having all their witnesses called and everything like that, that apparently, I guess, a manslaughter charge was added to the possibility of things. Obviously, his original charge of first-degree murder is still on the table there is what it is. So potentially he could be getting both first-degree murder charges and manslaughter charges as well, for that matter, which he probably should get both, honestly. And I think, honestly, if we're going to be for real about this whole case, is what it is, I think Karmelo was just looking to kill somebody that day. I think it was, I don't think it mattered if it was Austin Metcalf, or it was Hunter Metcalf, or it was some other white kid for that matter. I think he was looking to stab a white person in the heart, honestly, or at least stab some white person who it was that day. Because, first off, number one, why would you be walking around a school event with a concealed weapon in your bag? That is illegal to have on school grounds, by the way. Of course, you had some detective testify that, it was the knife length that he had was basically legal under Texas law, which it technically is, because apparently my understanding with Texas law is as long as the blade is under 5.5 inches long, you can carry it pretty much anywhere. Except for obviously prohibited places is what it is, which is exactly what a school would have been then is what it is. Because of some I forget if it was mainstream media or if it was like local media, brought up the fact that, you can't carry a gun to schools is what it is. But anyway, the knife in question that Karmelo had was about, I think it was said it was about 3.5 inches, give or take, which I think is roughly about the same size as this knife right here. So this is pretty much, this actually might be just a little bit longer than that, might be more like 4 inches or so. But basically this is a similar length to what was used to kill Austin Metcalf, is what it is there. So, which I started using this blade the other day. I got it a while back now. And it's one of the ones that's like, it's like one of the cheaper steels or whatever, like 5 CR13 or something like that, or 8 MOV or whatever it is there. It does cut pretty well though. I used it the other day on some ribs I was having, at the time, and it did a really good cut through those. It did a really nice slice through those, is what it is. So I was able to get all the fat separated from the actual meat of those ribs, so it was really nice like that. But anyway, so yeah, that was about the same length of the blade that was used to kill Metcalf is what it is there. So by that piece of shit Karmelo. I think what we really need to talk about though is how much black supremacy is going on in this country right now in the past decade or so, give or take, and especially in the past year when you had Carmelo's family fundraise for this piece of shit ass, and you also had how many people on, whether I forget if it was Give Send Go or if it was GoFundMe that was done there on that crowdfunding site as it was, but basically at least like 90 to 95% of the comments were all a bunch of other black supremacists being like, oh yeah, another dead white kid, good, or whatever kind of thing, or like basically like kind of kill all whiteys, or like, and the thing that pisses me off the most about these fucking people is they can't even say the word white correctly, and I think it might be because like algorithm stuff or something like that, so they'll say YT instead, and it really, honestly, it just makes you sound like an even more low IQ retard that we already know what you fucking are is what it is, you piece of shit. So yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous is what it is. But as Matt Walsh brought up a good point here earlier today is what it is, which was this right here, which was, quote, keep in mind, if Karmelo had pled guilty early on, it would have cut the fundraiser short. His parents chose to send him to trial so they could keep raking in the cash. They don't love or care about him. Awful people who inevitably raise an awful son. My only regret is that they can't be thrown in this prison cell along with him, which they should be at this point. I was talking to my sister about this actually after the fact, because the entire point is the GoFundMe, Give Send Go, whatever it was there that was being used to raise funds there, they were using it and claiming that it was going to be, the money was going to be used for his self-defense is what it is, to hire a lawyer is what it is there. So they completely deceived and lied about what it actually was being used for, because then they basically embezzled the money is what it is, and use it to buy luxury cars. I believe it was rent like a luxury mansion or something like that for the past year or two now is what it is. And just a bunch of other stuff for that matter. And it's like, dude, like, you're obviously deceiving people for why this is done. And my thing is, why the fuck aren't they being federally charged at this point, honestly? Because that should be some federal DOJ indictment shit right there is what it is then. So, yeah, it's a bunch of shit all the way around, honestly. And 100% his parents should be charged with multiple felony crimes at this point. Not to mention, not only they should be charged, Dominic Alexander, who was his fucking advocate, piece of shit, black supremacist buddy this whole time, that dude should be charged with another crime for that matter too, which that dude should already be in federal prison for the, slew of felonies and misdemeanors he's done over the past like 20 years or so is what it is there. So anyway, this is the one thing I never understood in general about this whole thing is the black tribalism aspect of it, because this is really what it's boiling down to being, is you have these people that will hold up the biggest pieces of shit in their communities instead of actually being like, no, that dude is guilty as fuck, he's a piece of shit, fuck him, lock him up, throw away the key is what it is there. That's what it should have been. It should have been an open and shut case like that's what it is, bro. And the fact that it wasn't is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that you had multiple people that were called as witnesses during the trial who initially, over the past year or so since this whole thing happened, you had them originally come out and lie their fucking asses off and being like, oh, Karmelo was being ganged up on by Austin and Hunter Metcalf and maybe a couple other people too for that matter. And then meanwhile, as soon as they took the stand and realized that they were going to be perjuring themselves under oath and be charged with crimes at that point, they're like, oh no, this dude's guilty as fuck. None of that stuff I said previously happened at all. It was all him doing this and being the aggressor and everything else like that's what it is there, which is exactly what we saw the whole time. And this is what bothers me the most, honestly, and I've said this from the jump, honestly, during this whole thing, is the school officials not being also charged in the situation too, for that matter, because you had the staff at that school confiscate something like 300 to 500 cell phones or so, give or take, because that was when people were there, obviously. So there is anywhere from dozens to hundreds of potential video evidence of the entire situation happening there is what it is. People are recording that whole thing, and none of that's been released to the public so far is what it is there, which obviously I don't think they could release to the public before all this because it would have tainted the entire jury pool across the board and everybody would have seen that that's what it is. But at the same time, like, now that we have the guilty verdict, like, dude, release it all is what it is. Release it all and shut these motherfuckers down for good is what it is then. Because that right there, you could then have people literally have arguments with these morons is what it is and be like, no, you're wrong and this is why. And then they just pull up the video and be like, here's the video here. Oh, here's another angle here. Here's another angle here. Here's another angle here. And it's like 14 or 15 different videos would be then. Instead of just having all these, you know, black tribalists, black supremacist types, etc. there, fucking cuck for one of their own is what it is there. And that's my biggest gripe with all of them is what it is there, dude, is, and I think Decoy Voice, it was either last night or the night before that, he was talking about it on his, like, 30-ish minute live stream, there's what it was. He brought up a perfect example here of what we're talking about, which is these people cannot see themselves as the victim in this case. They can only see themselves as the motherfucker with a knife in their hand is what it is. They can only see themselves as the perpetrator is what it is there. And that's exactly what it is, dude. And it basically falls back to what I've been saying for years now. And it's the low IQ mindset of most of these motherfuckers, dude. And this is exactly why I'm to the point right now where not only do we need IQ tests for voting rights in this country, there should be an IQ test for even being a U.S. citizen at this point in time in history right now. And if you do not have an IQ right at that line or above that line, guess what? Get the fuck out, motherfucker. Like, we'll give you maybe $1,000 or something like that, and a free plane ride overseas is what it is there. And you can fuck off to another country is what it is then. So, but yeah, it's just a bunch of shit all the way around is what it is there, man. And going back to what I was mentioning a few minutes ago here about this whole thing, to the whole black tribalism part of the whole thing there is what it is. You had, and basically the black supremacist, you know, terrorism is what it is there. You had this stupid cunt outside of the courthouse there who was defending Karmelo's piece of shit ass. Karmelo Anthony supporter said Karmelo should have killed Austin's twin brother Hunter as well, and the Karmelo group agrees with her. They're openly calling for murder. This was never about self-defense. Some of them just want to see white people murdered in cold blood. They all do, dude. It's not some, it's all of them, literally. And as this Nick sort of guy said, he said, can't be reasoned with. Both, quote unquote, both of the brothers should have been dead. If you ask me, what this bitch back here is saying is what it is. I almost guarantee you, if we did facial recognition software in this country, and we did all the videos of 2020 of the riots and stuff like that, her fucking ass is probably lighting up one of the cities on fire, is my guess, honestly. So, and this is one of my biggest gripes with Trump right now is what it is as president, because he should be openly having the DOJ go after every single one of these motherfuckers, dude, from 2020 onwards is what it is. Anybody that was involved in the 2020 riots, anybody that was involved in various burning down of cities, any kind of other terrorism acts and stuff like that, slap them all with terrorism across the board, lock them all the fuck up, charge them with death penalty if you can, honestly, and fucking deal with it is what it is then, dude. And start doing mass executions if we can, then is what it would be. Because we would be so much better off as a country if that happened right now is what it would be. So, anyway. Then we got retarded crackhead Charleston White. I know this guy's famous for something or other. I have no fucking clue what it is, though. I've heard the guy's name off and on in like the basically black culture circles is what it is. So I don't know if he's like a rapper or some community leader guy from back in the day or some fucking gangbanger from back in the day turned community leader. Who the fuck knows anymore? But anyway, he was reacting to Karmelo being found guilty in the Austin Metcalf murder trial, claiming, quote, it was unfair. It was an all-white jury, which is a fucking lie, by the way. This is another lie that these fucking piece of shit black supremacists are pushing, was the whole all-white jury crap is what it is. But yeah, he said claimed all-white jury, judge, DA, Austin's dad, we're all buddies. Kind of the DA, the dad, and the judge are all buddies, which is like another lie they're pushing, by the way, these black supremacist types of what it is there. And then piece of shit White said, we've already got the money set aside to appeal and keep fighting. Dude, fuck off. Like, your ass needs to be sitting in the prison cell with Karmelo at this point, bitch. But yeah, the whole all-white jury thing is a fucking absolute lie is what it is. You had at least, I forget if it was 3 of the actual jurors or they were alternates, were Asian. And then you had, I believe it was one of the 12 sitting jurors was a Muslim woman in full hijab is what it is there. So, yeah, you're a fucking lying sack of shit, Charleston White. Go fuck yourself, you fucking piece of shit. And, like, we're all sick and tired of your goddamn nonsense, bro. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, these people need to be fucking just thrown the fuck out, basically, is what it is there. Then, of course, you had other black supremacists literally talking about free Karmelo and essentially, where's it at here now? Yeah, you got this video from Live to TikTok about an hour ago. Said, found Karmelo guilty of killing these bitches. That bitch is white boy. Yeah, fucking ignorant ass piece of shit in general, dude. By the way, these are the people that have been the fucking welfare kings for decades of their lives, if not their entire lives for that matter. Where it was their welfare queen mothers for getting fucking handouts from the government 20, 30 years ago when they were growing up. And then it's now themselves getting fucking handouts by the government is what it is there. And that would be another thing we could easily do to mitigate this problem in our society is just start with people as what it is, dude. Cut them all off for good. Cut them all off, send them fucking bills for the shit is what it is, dude. And honestly, I'm to the point right now where not only does Charleston White need to be charged with accessory after the fact, so does Carmelo's parents, so does Dominic Alexander, et cetera, et cetera. There's what it is. And it's mostly to do with the fact that you had so many of these fucking people that were, whether it be Carmelo's parents, whether it be Dominic Alexander, et cetera, there, that were openly calling for violence against Austin's family this whole time over the past year, to the point where you had at least 6 or 7 different swatting events happen to Metcalf's father. I think there was at least one that happened to his mother, et cetera, et cetera. And meanwhile, like I was telling my sister earlier, because she didn't even know about the case as a whole, what it is, so I was basically, giving her like the cliff notes of what it is there, of what happened. And I was saying how, obviously Hunter was right there with Austin and then literally holding his brother's dying body in his arms while the dude bled out is what it is there from the, stab in the chest is what it is, right through the heart, basically. And so you basically have a kid now that clearly would have PTSD and, like mourning his brother's loss because they were twins, obviously. And you got him having to worry about people trying to kill him now because they're calling the cops and claiming swatting shit is what it is there, dude. Which, honestly, and I'll say it like I've said before in the past, dude, like, the fact that we do not have a federal mandate when it comes to swatting being a death penalty charge at this point is fucking ridiculous, because that is the entire point of that whole fucking thing. Is anybody pulling that shit, that's what their end game is. They're trying to get people killed by the police killing them. And that's exactly why they themselves should be charged with a death penalty at that point, because you are attempting to murder someone through the use of police force is what it is. And the same thing with doxing, too. Doxing should also be a fucking high-level felony for that matter, too. It should be at least, like, I would say truthfully, really it should be a first-degree felony at this point in all 50 states is what it is then. And that's the problem with most of our country right now is we don't have any of these laws in the books, and it's mostly because when you look at who is in control of state houses across the country, and especially in Congress/Senate right now, it's a bunch of people who are in their fucking 80s and 90s in most cases, or at least late 70s anyway, and they've been there for 30, 40 years in many cases. They have that's the thing. You have these people that have no fucking clue about technology whatsoever, so of course we're not going to pass stuff that would be, able to combat technological advances is what it is there. And that's the biggest problem right now, is that most of them don't even know what fucking doxing is, honestly. So that's exactly why, truthfully, we need to have a mandatory age retirement kind of thing on every political seat of power in this country is what it is then, because that would fix a lot of it. You wouldn't have people that were in their, 70s, 80s, early to mid 90s is what it is there, walking around, being a senator, being a congressman, et cetera, there, being a state rep, whatever it is there, or a sitting governor or whatever it is, to where you would have people that actually know what the fuck they're talking about being in power. People like, my age range in our, late 30s, early 40s, what it is here. And we actually grew up with a lot of these technologies. We actually understand like how it works is what it is then, and how to potentially combat it with the legislation that needs to be put in place is what it is there. So, yeah, it's a bunch of shell around is what it is. But basically, let's see. Continuing on, just going down. I'm just going to go on the feed right now is what it is, because it's probably mostly going to be Karmelo stuff anyway. So you got this one here. It says, mother of 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony went live crashing out in tears after he was found guilty for the murder of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Quote, the jury was full of racist white people. I'm suing all of them. Bitch, you need to get your ass. You need to be in fucking prison for multiple felonies at this point. And their stupid cunt ass continued on with their stupid ass quote saying, my son defended himself and I'm glad he took that boy's life. Again, charge this bitch with fucking accessory before and after the fact, dude. She is the goddamn problem. She is the piece of shit that put this little fucking fuckstick in this world to begin with, is what it is there, dude. So, enough is enough of this bullshit, dude. We're all fucking sick and tired of it. Like, that's why most of us have black exhaustion at this point, dude, is because a piece of crap like that right there is what it is. So, yeah, we had, I'm not going to play it. I'll repost this on our channel there on X, but I'm not going to post the, I'm not going to play the clip here is what it is, because I don't know if it would break YouTube's TOS or not there, but it's an AI video where it said, breaking first trailer of Karmelo Anthony Simulator, fuck around, final edition just dropped. You can do whatever you want until you can't. Yeah, it's just sad, dude. And I think, honestly, my biggest problem with the whole thing is it was one of the eyewitnesses that testified. I think it was for the defense, but then they obviously admitted that Karmelo was guilty, is what it is. It was his buddy who apparently also knew Metcalf because he went to the school with Metcalf, is what it is there. But apparently it was him that had basically called over Karmelo and was like, hey, buddy, what's going on? And they were doing, their whole, like, handshake routine bullshit or whatever. And then it was after that was when Karmelo sat down in their tent, is what it is, and then proceeded to get asked at least 15 times to leave before he eventually, fatally stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest, is what it is then. So, starting. Like, honestly, the best thing that could happen right now in this whole case is you see Karmelo put in prison, and you basically have it play out like that Mara Kingston episode from the first season, where it was the, I forget if it was the fourth or fifth episode of that show, but it was basically, you had, what is it now? It was I believe, meth cook that kills a kid. And then it's basically the entire prison system is cut a deal to where it doesn't matter if they were black, white, Latino, etc. there. They all basically took turns giving this dude a slock lock, smack in the face / body, or they were just shanking his ass to death, is what it is there. And that's exactly what needs to happen to Karmelo Anthony, honestly, in the Texas prison system, which I think will happen, honestly, at this point in history, because you had so many people whose dumbass family members took $10, $20, $50, $100, whatever it was there, and threw it towards that $700,000 that they gave Karmelo's piece of shit ass, is what it is, for that campaign fund. that they could have taken that money and put it on people's commissary books for them to get a meal for that day. And so there's a lot of people who are just super pissed about that is what it is then for the past year or so now. And rightfully so. And so they themselves will be looking for, retribution against Karmelo is what it is then. And rightfully blaming him for, hey, why didn't I get my, $30 worth of snacks or whatever it is there. But probably the two funniest memes I've seen in the past day or so here. If I can find the one here, I'll bring it up real quick. It's not wanting to load for some stupid reason now. It's being dumb on me right now. Just gave my computer a hiccup some kind or something there. So you had people doing, I think it was AI generated stuff is what it is here for this content. The first one here, obviously, is Karmelo meeting his new celly, which is a big gay black dude. And that's pretty much what it would be at that point, honestly. It'd be like, oh yeah, little buddy, I'll protect you, but you're definitely going to be giving up that ass every night is what it is there. But I think the funnier one that I have found in one of these comment sections in the past day or so then had to have been this one right here, where it is both big black dude and big white dude about to use Karmelo as a nice little sex toy is what it is there. So, and I could totally see, I could actually see this being legitimately a for real thing that happens in the prison system there is what it is. So, but yeah, I could honestly see this kid basically becoming a human fleshlight over the next couple months is what it is then or something. And rightfully so, and hopefully justifiable at that point is what it is then. So, see, you had Drew Hernandez talking about the WNs, aka starts with Wig, crashing out on TikTok over Karmelo Anthony. See, again, these people are the fucking greatest example of just the fucking trash of the white race is what it is there, dude. Because only a true piece of shit is gonna act like a fucking black person is what it is there, basically act like a black ghetto person is what it is there. So, yeah, they are just the fucking worst kind of race traitors I've ever seen in my entire life, honestly, dude. And again, it could be that they just lived in the hood their entire lives, what it is there, which, again, doesn't really justify the whole thing is what it is there, because had they been raised in a better place or been raised in a two-parent household with the actual father in the household is what it is there, maybe they would have been better off, as a white kid. However, that being said, as we've seen, in Karmelo's case there, he was a black kid that had both mom and dad in the household, and he still was a fucking murderer now is what it is. So, again, doesn't matter if you're poor, rich, middle class, whatever it is there, dude. Again, I believe most of this does come down to, and it's something that UK Nation News talked about in the past, which is IQ. It's the IQ deviations between races, whether it be the standard deviation between, I believe it's white and black, is at least a whole percentage thing is what it is there, and so forth and so on. When you have the dumbest people being allowed to continue forward and basically create mediocrity, and then more mediocrity, and then more mediocrity, and more mediocrity, then you're never going to have the smartest people in the room excel is what it is there, dude. I saw a great one actually the other day where it was this white mother. I'm not sure what city she was living in at this time or what state she's living in actually, but I know it's a major city she was talking about. That's what it is. Her child was in a class of 25 kids And of the 25 kids in that class, 4 of them spoke English. 21 of 25 were either speaking Spanish or some of their dialect. And because of that, her child was not able to learn whatever it was, a math class or like some kind of reading class, or whatever it was there. She was not able to get the full education that she deserved to have because of these fucking other pieces of shit that shouldn't even be in the class to begin with. What it is there, dude, because they're all fucking foreign invaders. Is what it is there. So, yeah, I think we're all just fucking sick and tired of what it is there, dude. Yeah, let's see. Then we got where are we at now? Then we got this one here. CNN already calling it a shocking verdict. Insulating it is because of an all-white jury, and says Anthony was in fear of his life by larger athletes. Get the fuck out of here, man. Again, I'm so fucking sick and tired of them being like, oh, it was an all-white jury. No, it fucking wasn't, dude. And in the first place, you know what? We should have fucking all-white juries again, dude. And this is the biggest problem that I have with the stupidity of both the mainstream media and all these black supremacists bitching and moaning what it is there, dude. A jury of your peers, people, is not a jury of your fucking race, you retarded piece of shit racist assholes. It means people that are in the place that are similar among you is what it is there. You know, because truthfully, if you would want to break it down to like true juries of your peers and stuff like that, we could talk about like every single previous case in American history was never a jury of the peers is what it is there, dude, because truthfully, in a lot of these cases, you know, let's go ahead and say some dude that's a, you know, online gamer kills somebody, then that person's jury of their peers should be 12 online gamers is what it is then. You know, so forth and so on. If you want to get real technical about it, that'd be the case then. So, and the fact of the matter is, when you have at least 4 of the potential black jurors in this case legitimately coming out and saying retarded shit during the cross-examinations for both the defense and the state is what it was there, who were looking at them for the jury pool, and at least one of them saying something like, oh, I don't think I can bring myself to put a brother behind bars. And it was similar stuff to that with the other 3 is what it is then. And several of these people were supposedly educators in their education system there is what it is. And that's why they were kicked out of the jury pool, because they had a bias to the thing is what it is to begin with, dude, because every single people had a fucking bias to begin with is what it is. And when you look at previous cases, I've talked about this before, I talked about it last week on Freedom Friday, when you had people who were in the case of Ethan Lyman here in Ohio, where he was beaten to death by Tyler and Deshaun Stafford, and you had this idiotic jury pool that I believe was like at least a third black anyway, so it was at least 4 of the 12 were black people or whatever. And they gave these dudes 6 and 18 months respectively for way lesser charges. You even had the judge basically drop the charges like down like fucking crazy when they should have been charged with first degree fucking murder, or at least minimum like first degree manslaughter is what it is there, dude, because they literally kicked this guy to death over nothing, over him hitting them with some, I don't think it was him that did it either. I think it was some of his buddies that were with him that left his ass there, where it was him and like, I believe it was Ethan Liming and like 3 or 4 black dudes that were teenagers at the time. And they were shooting the little gel things that people was there. It's like water gel pellets or something like that. I think that's what they're called. I forget exactly what it is. Some kind of like water gun thing that basically shoots them with what it is there. But yeah, they're basically out there shooting those people, and they were shooting them at the Stafford brothers and stuff like that. And then it was Ethan Liming had gotten out of the vehicle there at the I Promise school where these brothers were playing basketball at nighttime is what it was there. And was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Meanwhile, the 3 or 4 guys that were with him that night all fucking jumped in another vehicle and bailed the fuck out is what it was there, because they weren't going to have that, because they knew they were going to get their asses kicked too is what it was then. And so, yeah, you had the Stafford brothers beat Ethan Liming to death in the fucking basketball court there at the I Promise school, and then proceed to rifle through his pockets to try to steal any valuables he had on him at the time is what it was. And since then, you had Tyler Stafford be charged with several other crimes, including murder. And then you had Deshaun Stafford within the last year or so, which was the older of the two, get charged with a different person's murder as well here in Ohio. And it's like, yeah, you have these career criminals, dude, that these fucking piece of shit animals keep letting back on the goddamn streets is what it is, because they want to have fucking bullshit ass racial justice instead of having actual justice systems in place right now is what it is. And I'm so fucking sick and tired of it, man. It's just like here it's over there in Michigan now. You have that dude there who, I forget what that guy's name is offhand. It might be, I can't remember if it's Dallas or Dalton, or I think it's something with a D. He was the white guy who defended his property. It was 4 or 5 black teenagers that were breaking into his detached garage. You had multiple break-ins before this guy's place, probably by the same group of assholes is my guess. And you had the cops legitimately in the previous times tell him, oh, get a better security system. So you got a better like Ring doorbell camera or whatever it was, Blink doorbell cameras, whatever they were. Put up more of them, got detections on his phone, went out with a gun, saw these motherfuckers, escaping under the garage door, and then rightfully fired some shots at them. And then because he had like just, I think it was like a 7-round like LCP or something like that is what it was. He ended up going back inside and grabbing another mag because he ran out of ammo is what it was then, and then proceeded to chase after them a little bit and shoot some more is what it was then. He ended up killing one of them, wounding another, but because obviously in in Michigan, and a lot of other states for that matter, you're not supposed to be able to, shoot fleeing suspects, or not supposed to like chase fleeing suspects and fire on them or whatever the case be. Even though that's exactly what cops do all the time, by the way. I want to point that one out. Is the whole like police versus civilian thing is what it is there, and how much bullshit that is honestly at the end of the day. But yeah, because of that whole thing, you had some bullshit judge, who I believe is also a black woman for that matter, be like, oh no, this guy needs to be charged completely is what it is there, go to jury trial instead of it being considered a straight up stand your ground self-defense is what it is there, because truthfully, that was self-defense. It was 4 or 5 different, it might have even been 6 guys actually now I'm thinking about it, but it was somewhere between like 4 and 6 people that were robbing this dude's fucking property. He rightfully grabbed a firearm to defend himself, and now he's being put on trial for this shit. It's fucking disgusting, dude. And it's the same thing with that Chud the Builder case, And my opinion, that completely changed at this point, honestly, in history, because from everything I've heard here in the last week and a half or so, the whole chimping out thing that was supposedly said before that Joshua Fox guy punched Dalton in the face, there is what it was. Supposedly, there's no evidence of that at all happening, because there were several eyewitnesses there that said they didn't hear any of that stuff. There was multiple cameras rolling at the time or whatever that supposedly didn't pick up, etc. there. So yeah, there's no video evidence, there's no eyewitness testimony, nothing of that, dude. So it was basically unprovoked attack against this man is what it was then, because of him just being a nuisance streamer, a rage bait streamer, whatever you want to call it at that point, honestly. And meanwhile, he's now sitting in prison there in Tennessee on a $1.25 million charge. Meanwhile, you had an actual black murder suspect in that same exact fucking court get off with a $250K bond, where he actually killed somebody unprovoked is what it is there. Like, our justice system is a fucking joke, dude. It really is. The tiered justice system that we have in this country is absolute fucking bullshit entirely, man. And unless Karmelo is charged at the max, nothing's ever going to change in this country, honestly, dude. And I would say, truthfully, at this point, unless Trump starts doing his fucking job as president and either invoking the Insurrection Act and taking these motherfuckers out of military forces, what it is there, or secondarily just having the DOJ charge every single one of these assholes with terrorism, et cetera, there across the board that are openly calling for the murders of Metcalf's family, et cetera, there's what it is there. Then nothing's going to change, dude. Nothing will ever fucking change until we actually have true justice in this country, until you actually have people getting locked the fuck up for terrorism, etc., for doing terrorist shit is what it is. No more tiered justice system, just straight up real justice again. Because if we don't have an actual justice system in place anymore, dude, or people don't think we have rule of law anymore is what it is there, guess what? You're going to have frontier justice come back. You're going to have people take justice in their own hands. You're going to have vigilantism rise like fucking crazy in this country. And I believe, truthfully, this case here, the Karmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf case, could be the spark to an actual race war in this nation in my lifetime. And I hate to say that right now, but I believe that truthfully, honestly, dude. I believe that we are heading towards that time period of history right now. And every single video after video, black supremacist calling for, base murdering of white people is what it is now, et cetera, there. Like, it's just proving that more and more that you're going to see something pop off very soon is what it is there. And the fact that we're already in the early days of summer right now, I think, honestly, the main reason that the state of Texas rightfully found this piece of shit guilty here today on Tuesday is because had this trial extended to Thursday or Friday, then you would have definitely seen these major cities in Texas on fire on Fridays, what it is there, which who's to say it's not going to be, honestly, dude? I mean, hell, we still got a couple hours before sunset there in Texas now. So it could easily be, it's 8 o'clock here in Ohio. I think it's 7 or so in Texas right now. So yeah, come 9, 10 o'clock tonight, DFW, Fort Worth area there, you could easily see people starting to do various riots in the streets, burning the buildings, et cetera there. Now, granted, that being said, probably not a smart thing to do in Texas there, especially considering you have both constitutional carry and standard ground in the state of Texas. And I could easily see people getting put the fuck down. That's what it is, dude. And rightfully so at that point then. Because it's going to be them fucking around and finding out. It's going to be them doing dumb shit like that and then getting shot and killed in self-defense by actual people defending their businesses, their properties, their families, their homes, their lives, et cetera. There's what it is. So... anyway, but yeah, that being said, that's pretty much it for the day. I will be back here and probably, as long as Honda does a chat, around 10 or so tonight, so it'll be about 2 hours from now, give or take. I'll be over in his chat then is what it is, and we'll be talking probably more about this case during that time period is what it is then. For right now, though, I got to go use the bathroom pretty badly for about the last 10 minutes or so, so I'm going to go ahead and jump off here real quick so I can go do that then. And then, of course, I got a different, where's that at right now, if I can find it here real quick. I ended up picking up a different kind of, I don't know, let's put it right there. I'm also not sure where I set that damn thing though. Yeah, I'll find them in here. Whatever. I got a different red dot recently. Pistol dot, I should say. For my G3C Toro is what it is. So I'm going to probably install that later is what it is then. Take off the Zolski because the Zolski's a little bit big and it's also more of a dot, whereas this other one that was a CV Life optic is not only a dot, but you can actually do a different mode on it and stuff like that, to where it's either a circle or it's a circle with a little dot inside of it. And given my eyesight and stuff like that, I can actually see better with that kind of dot is what it is there than I can with the Zolski dots on my pistol currently is what it is then. So I'm going to do that one up is what it is then. But yeah, until later. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'll be back, like I said, on Honda's chat, hopefully in a couple hours then. And then most likely back on this channel. It'll be sometime Friday for Freedom Friday. We'll discuss more of what happens, obviously, between now and then. If there's any riots or whatever the case, we'll go over them and stuff like that. We'll discuss more about, obviously, this case. If we actually see Karmelo being charged with both first-degree murder and manslaughter, et cetera, there, and, what potentially the judge with the hand-downs of verdict and stuff like that's what it is there. Which probably, I'm guessing it's not going to happen today. It'll probably be either tomorrow or the next day. Minimum, I'm guessing. So personally, if I was the jury and the judge, et cetera, there, I would be trying to get this case and the actual charges against this motherfucker through as quickly as possible is what it is there. Mostly because of the fact you would want to have that done before the weekend is what it is there. So that way you're not going to have these pieces of shit that are going to riot anyway be, doing stuff like that. And honestly, I'll say this right now, dude. This goes out to you, Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Get out there immediately, dude, and start calling for rule of law is what it is, bro. Start activating National Guard, et cetera, there, because you're probably going to need to do that by the time it's all said and done. And I would say, truthfully, make a statement here in the next 24 hours to basically anybody going out there and doing some kind of rioting, looting, et cetera, charge them all with terrorism across the board and say straight up, hey, National Guard is being given shoot on sight orders is what it is then. Fuck around and find out. Because that's what needs to happen right now is what it is. So, anyway, Till later. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Always be carrying. Always be situationally aware. Always know to never be in arm's length of a YN ever in your life. And if they're trying to get within, punching distance, stabbing distance, etc. of you, get the fuck away from them as fast as possible. And I would say truthfully have either your own hand on a pistol or have your hand on a thing of pepper spray and be ready to deploy one of the two is what it is then. If you think they're going to get aggressive, but you think pepper spray could do it, then pull out the pepper spray and just spray the shit up is what it is then. I would say if it's more than one, honestly, at that point, that's when it goes to lethal force is what it is because your life is 100% in danger of being beaten to death by a mob is what it is then. So, anyway. But yeah, that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Karmelo is guilty as charged, and hopefully will be, obviously because of the stupid-ass penal system, charging him as a juvenile instead of an adult. My understanding is the maximum you can get basically right now is 30 years, being roll after about 15, give or take, so he could potentially be like 34 to 49 by the time he gets out then. Hopefully he will never make it out of prison, because hopefully, like I said earlier, you will have the prison inmates deal with his ass in the first couple months here is what it is then, if not first couple days then. So, anyway. But yeah, till later. I will see you all on the next one. Peace out. Stay safe. Always be carrying, and always watch out for potential threats to your life because they are anywhere and everywhere these days. So always keep your head on a swivel and definitely keep your mindset in a mode where you are potentially in danger from outside forces, even if you don't think you are, So always make sure you know your exits. Always make sure you know everything like that's what it is. And be ready to roll out if you can. And if you can't, be ready to fight. That's what it is. So anyway. See y'all later.